how would you like to introduce yourself if you meet someone new for the first time? How would you like people to know you?
Uh, well, I like to give people hugs.
Oh, nice.
There you go. So yes, well, the part of that is my hands are so wrecked that when I give some, so if I was
Handshake?
meeting you
Yeah.
and give you a handshake, which I could, but I would say you have to be very
Slow.
you have to
Yeah.
be very gentle with
Yeah.
me because my hands are so wrecked. Um, but yeah, if I like hugs are a nice way to make people feel at ease, and it just feels very natural, that natural to me.
What made you embark on this Wicked 1000 journey?
Yeah, so this journey, I mean, every year the journey gets harder. Uh, it's a lot of miles. If I make the extrapolation, Mid Atlantic and New England miles are 2.5 times the complexity and distance of trade wind miles. Are multiples harder than most rivers. So 3,500 miles on this stretch of coast is like 8,000 miles, and the trade winds is like 12,000 miles on a river, not a heavy duty class 3, class 4 river, but a float, Green River in Utah in some places. Um, this trip taught me that once again that how little I can go with, how little I can live with. I had to ration water and food at one point, 20 ounces of water on one day for 14 hours of paddling, and that ends up being 20 ounces over 24 hours. That's not really human, but you can make it work, and then you can make it work
Mm.
3 days in a row, and then people know the rule of threes. That's pretty unnatural, but it says, hey, when I'm out in a physical environment and there's a mental component attached to the physical environment, I can get through pretty much anything.
Mm.
The challenge for me is then how do I bring it that ability to survive and get through and execute an excellence in that environment and bring it back to land when I have to
Mm.
deal with human beings.
Would you be able to explain why you chose Martha's Vineyard as one of the stops on
Mm,
your Wicked 1000 journey, or
yeah.
like one of the integral spots?
Right. Right. Well, so for the Wicked 1000, this is the destination, right?
Yeah.
The This journey is about supporting community mental health and Martha's Vineyard Community Services and their mission uh, and veterans services on island, and that's has very much to do with my connection to this part of the world, to the islands, to the sand and the salt and the clams and the people. It's integral to my existence. I can tell you, as I noted this morning to a group, that Gay Head Light is a very important beacon. If you're a mariner and you're crossing significant bodies of water, uh, that light bringing you in. So many times, Gay Head Light has brought me in,
Mm.
and a number of times I haven't been able to get in. I've gotten sent off course and just not able to get to the island because of the weather or whatever. But uh, yeah, and this it feels it's I've had great experiences here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you've had great experiences with friends, with uh, and they're visceral, and not just with friends, but in the connection to the landscape. It's you, you feel it in here.
Right. What is that one message that you would want to give to the people of Martha's Vineyard about mental health,
Hmm.
about staying physically and emotionally strong,
Yeah,
and something that you also practice while you're on the water?
yeah. Well, I rather than I like people to extrapolate or take whatever they want from my experience. Some people take things that I don't purposely go out and say I want to inspire somebody to be physical in a certain way or to be an adventurer or to take their own path. People find what works from them and they pull what works for them in their lives. Um, but I would ask that people uh, find their way, and not find it because somebody else has set the path for them, but because there are so many paths out there, and you have to go out there and uh, and and work to find it. And when you do find it, make it your mission, make it your passion, uh, and always be learning. That's important. You talked about how you like to always learn. I'm so hungry for information.
So how long would you say you stay alone on the water, like at a stretch?
Yeah. Well, my longest stretch was 6 days and 200 miles offshore, 25 miles offshore outside of land. Uh, that's a long time to not see anyone. But I don't think of it in those. I don't get lonely. I don't feel alone. I've got so much. Well, first of all, you're thinking about everything in your head. So much stuff going on, and then you have a lot of work. Depending on what the course is, I got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of math to do in there.
Right. So, what is it that you're thinking about when you're on the board,
Yeah.
when you are like alone, out of nowhere, out in the sea,
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere? Uh, what is it that goes through in your head every day for like 5 days, six
Yeah.
days?
Well, it all depends on the legs. Where if I've traveled near a course near that section before, then I reflect back on the navigation and experiences. But I'm taking it all in. I mean, if I feel a wind switch, and I've got a little wind in my ear, I'm like, oh, the wind just switched 15 degrees. I'm feeling it in my right ear. And I concentrate on that so that I then don't have to do a course correction on my Garmin unit, which means I have to use less electricity. And these are all, everything has a cause and effect. So it's a little thing, but important. If the conditions are good, I get into a problem there, because then I ruminate on all the shit that's out there, all the nonsense. So that's not a healthy thing. I would prefer the conditions be really hard and to be cold and hypothermic or close to hypothermic, and having to concentrate so that I can focus on all the things that I need to get done. But I'm reminding myself, okay, what do I have in the bow bag? What's on the port bag, starboard bag, stern bag? How am I doing on med supplies? Do I need to make that course correction? Is that repair okay? Do I need to check in with my safety manager? How's my medical doing? There's a list of 50 things that I go through now. Sometimes you go through them and you come back through them again, because by the time you've been through the list, it's
Right.
a long time has passed.
Right.
And sometimes you're just going, and sometimes you remember something that happened in third grade, and sometimes you think about your parents who passed years ago and you cry, and sometimes you see a beautiful sea turtle and you smile, and really everything.
Have you ever felt that I wish I had someone with me to share this moment which I'm experiencing? Because I'm quite sure that like being alone on the sea, even though it has a lot of challenges, but you get to see the sunrises,
beautiful
sunsets, whales. I don't know if you've seen whales, sharks, or something
I
that
see
up close.
I see everything, sure.
Right. So do you feel that to share that moment with someone else, like people you love or like people close to you?
Well, I don't feel the need to share it in a real time. That, quite honestly, they're very, for safety. There are very few people in the world that I would feel comfortable out there with. And when I say that, you can be guided up Everest. Apparently, you can now be guided somewhat safely up K2, except that a lot of people are dying because of the traffic jam and the technical climbing, and people haven't arrived at that level. I cannot literally guide somebody on the trip I just took. I can take you on sections. I could take a very good paddler, if they had trained, if they had years of study. I'll paddle over to Nantucket in a day and a half. But if I said right now to a world-class paddler, I need you to analyze our course and decide on when we're going to go, what equipment we're going to use. Can you get through it? What are your safety precautions? What are your backup systems? Who's on your backup team? You know, even world-class racers, and if you haven't done this specific, if expedition paddling hasn't been your specialty, um, you're just not going to know where to start. So I'm perfectly happy not being
Mm.
out there with people because of the danger and the liability. Now I do like to bring back the pictures
Mm.
and say, but interestingly, everybody just likes to look at sunsets and sunrises.
Right. How often would you say you are on land, and how often are you
Yeah,
on the
so
water?
the ratio is 4 days to water to 1 day to land.
Mm. I see.
Yeah, maybe even 5, depends.
And how many miles have you completed of your 1,000-mile journey?
Well, this is the Wicked 1000. Let's say I'm at 850 on this one, but I don't really look at it. The mileage is, once again, is Wicked 1000 is a little bit of a marketing thing. I like the way it flowed and sound. Hatteras Wall, Strong Island Special. They all have a. I did a Wicked. My first one was the Wicked 150, but it was 150 hours.
Mm.
But right now I'm thinking of it in terms of the cumulative. I'm coming up on the last 200 miles of what is 3,500, 3,700 miles of mid-Atlantic to New England paddling over time.
Mm.
Yeah, and then that's, I don't know how many miles I have left. I have a lot of miles left in me, but not necessarily paddling,
Mm.
stand-up paddling miles. I mean, I would like to paddle from the mouth of the Amazon to Miami and do the whole. That's a whole different animal, but that's a different environment.
If we were to look into your paddleboard,
Mm.
what would we find at this time? Like, if you were to show us what all you have with you on your
Yeah,
paddleboard.
it's incredibly well organized, and it has to be because I have very little space.
Hmm.
So uh, at this point, I've used up a lot of supplies, even though I replenish my repair. So my 7 main kits are medical backup, landing, sea anchors, electronics, safety and backup, and what's the 7th?
Food.
No, beyond food and water. There are 7 master dry bags that
Hmm.
go inside a landing bag and sea anchor too. Left side, medical backup. Right. Oh, repair, electronics, and backup and safety. So that's the 7. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Waste.
Yeah, the human waste. Like, would you like go in the water, or like did you like go to a shore and then
Yeah.
like
Well,
go?
since I'm not eating any hard food, I'll go 2 weeks without going to the bathroom. Number 2. I mean, I can count the number of times in 7 weeks I've gone to the bathroom. I've
Hmm.
had 3 number 2s.
Hmm. So, what effect do you think that has on your body?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the weight loss is, I go through a serious weight loss. I started the trip at 207. I weighed myself last night at 167. So that's 40 pounds. It'll take 9 months to rebuild in terms of body mass and weightlifting and so on. Just
Right.
to, I have no fat. I have no body fat right now. I don't know. It's less than 5%, and I need to be probably at 10%. So I don't think it's actually. I know it's not the healthiest thing for me, but it's not. It's not unhealthy
Hmm.
in that the carbohydrate powder is healthy. It's non-GMO. It's non-GMO corn based. It's electrolytes. I'm not. It's not. I'm not eating Twinkies, right?
Hmm. Right. 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 Right.
I'm not replacing good stuff with bad stuff. It's just it's just not being replaced. So I don't think it has. It's not entirely natural. But my rebuild program is pretty smart.
I would like to circle back to the mental strength and resilience aspect,
Hmm.
because we all know how difficult this is, what you're doing, and how much mental strength it takes for a person to even have that decision to be on the water for so long, to take that 1,000-mile journey.
Yeah.
What do you say to yourself when you feel like giving up, when you feel like, oh, maybe I don't have 1 more mile in me?
Yeah.
Let me just go to the nearest shore.
Well, sometimes I'm near shore and I have to come to shore because I can't go. But a lot of times I'm just not. I don't have that outlet. Like in certain times you have that outlet, or in certain times it's more dangerous. And now this is a little hard to imagine, but a lot of times it's more dangerous to come to shore than to stay out at sea. So, for example, uh, if there's a big swell running and there's a big storm coming through, and you have to land on rocks or a tough beach, way more dangerous to come to shore than it is to stay out at sea. So this year, for example, I would put out my sea anchors and drogue and whatever was needed to stabilize me out there, and I would get into my warmest gear, and I would stay offshore rather than coming in. When you don't feel like going another, well, that's there are two things, and they're both the macro of uh, the two macro pillars. One macro pillar is excellence and being world class at something, and either you are or you're not.
Mm.
And that's a strong driver there to be one of the best in the world at something. And the other is all in for the cause. So I think I reflect back on the cause, on people counting on me. So if I think about Martha's Vineyard Community Services, the fact that in the COVID year they did more than 19,000 hours of counseling, that there are many people whose insurance has run out for mental health, or their copays are untenable, or copays over time are untenable, or they're out of pocket to start off their mental health insurance program is, it's a $5,000 deductible, or that's a very high deductible for one part of a program, but there are strange things going on with medical care. So I think about the individuals, and I can't let them down.
Mm.
And I go back to individuals. I visualize not letting individual people down. I don't necessarily have a face or a person. I mean, I don't see your face. I don't see the face of my face. I don't see the face of people I know. But I do see human beings and a personal connection to not letting them down. They're counting on me right now at this very moment. And that's a strong driver in the macro.
Right.
And in the micro too, but that's the big picture.
How many more years do you think that you're gonna be on the water doing paddleboarding?
Yeah, good question. So I am at year 10 of the 25-year goal. So this is originally called, the big picture was the This Is 50 Sufferfest tour, which would take me from 50 to 75. I'm now 56. So 16 more years, but it's not just the water. It's, I because of cellulitis and other things that have happened, I could, my next step, if you ask my PA buddy Doug, he's like, well, you get that one more time, we might have to take a limb. And I was like, well, that's probably not worth it. So I got to be careful about how I approach that. But in terms of really long distance running or other really long endurance, I'd like to think I have another 15, at least 15 years in me.
I love the drive. I love the ambition.
well, right. When I'm on dry land and relatively warm and clean, it's like it's easy for me to talk about it as compared to if you asked me a couple days ago, I'd be like, I want this over.
Right. Any final words, any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the people of Martha's Vineyard about mental health, about staying strong, about taking on difficult challenges for themselves, and how they can ride the wave?
Oh, wow. Okay. mental health is such a difficult thing. This is the most what's happening up here is so complex, right? So and everybody has different challenges. There are things that I have that don't affect other people. Things other people have, I don't have. You could say, some people would say I have addictive personality, but I think it's addictive in a good way, right? It's not. It's not. Uh, well, one time when I thought I was drinking too much, I just cut myself off. And I said, okay, don't drink for 3 months, and it was easy. And then I fell. And then when I came back, I was like, hey, one night I want to. 3 months later, I want to have a cold beer with pasta. And I didn't have 6 beers. I had one, and then I didn't need to have one the next day. So other people may have a really hard time, and I know it because I have some alcoholism in my family, controlling that. Be careful comparing yourself to other people because that's the joy of us. We're all unique, and a lot of people I know just want to mold you into being more similar to them because it makes them feel more comfortable with their own lives and themselves. And I think that's a bunch of hooey. I think that's BS. You don't go out and try to change other people to be more like you. You look at other people and go, what do you appreciate about them? And you try to incorporate that into your life. Right. And I think that's a mental. That's the pull and tug, and it's just a philosophical approach to. Do you want to empower people or do you want to have power over people? And for me, it's much more important to empower people than it is to have control over other people.
Made it. To the right. I made it. Stay ahead. Let's see in the background. There it is. Pretty amazing. Tukes and Jack Stout on the beach. Signing off inbound. Still 250 to go outbound, but this is the meat of it.